Welcome to Show and Tell. In this series, I review brand new games quickly and with as much detail as possible. Ready? Go. Oh man, I hate it when I'm stretched thin enough on games that I have to ask for review copies of horror games, especially when they're actually really freaky. Stairs is sold by its creators as a psychological horror. Now, psychological horror is by far my favorite kind of horror, but I'm always so skeptical when anything is labeled as a psychological horror because that's most people's favorite kind of horror, and marketers know that. They wrongfully label media as psychological horror when it's really just filled with jump scares or a played out run and hide horror. This game is, most of the time, rightfully labeled. There are exactly two really shitty, there's no really other way of describing it, sections of the game where you're kind of sneaking around and have to avoid enemies. These are by far the weakest sections of the game, not even scary, just tedious and boring. Luckily, this is just two short sections of the game, and most of the time the game is doing something interesting, either from a mechanical viewpoint or an atmospherical viewpoint, and sometimes both at the same time. It certainly borrows from other games, most notably Outlast with the camera, but it's different enough that it definitely doesn't feel like a clone of anything in particular. In fact, it does a lot of things with a real dash of originality, and once or twice I felt like it was genius. Now, it might just be that I haven't played much in the horror genre, but a lot of this game was really fresh and it has its own identity. Quick example, at one point in the game you walk into a bathroom. Everything seems okay, but then you spot shoes underneath the stall and your stomach drops a little. You approach, open the door, and it turns out it was just shoes. There are quite a lot of different flourishes like that in this game that really bring out a tentative smile in the player. The game also looks pretty good, aside from the models on some of the creatures, though I did experience some screen tearing and I think 3 crashes. Bear in mind this is a review copy, so that might not be true on release, but the performance is okay. I'll be honest, this game really subverted my expectations. I thought this was going to be a typical jump scare filled horror, but for the most part, it was an atmospheric experience that really grated on my nerves with unidentified shapes at the end of long corridors and some clever camera work that dissociates the player from reality. And the real kicker? I finished this game completely terrified. Bear in mind that I don't really work well with horror, but I think everyone but the most hardened horror fans will feel this game is really scary. And I think it's probably priced reasonably too. The developers couldn't give me anything exact, but around $10 is the ballpark, and I think that's worth it. The game lasted about 3 hours for me. I think you could finish it in 2 if you were rushing, but I think for $10, 3 hours is relatively substantial, and the quality is high too. I've seen much worse games priced at much higher prices. So if you enjoy horror, I'm tempted to say this is a must play. You certainly won't be disappointed, and if you're like me, you'll really appreciate the atmosphere. And you end up in a few different environments, which is cool too. The only real bad parts of the game are those 2 run and hide sections, but they're quite brief. Really, this game is worth it as it is. I wholeheartedly recommend it. Thanks for watching. If this review helped you make a decision, then send a like my way, because that makes it more likely that other people are gonna see this review. If I didn't, you can leave me a dislike guilt-free, but try and tell me why you were dissatisfied in the comments section so I can improve for next time. See ya!